Quick thought. Today I want to talk about the importance of self-love and the reason why I'm talking about it. Um, I went to prison when I was a kid for a crime I didn't commit, 2 murders, and I grew up in a big family. I grew up being close to my family. So when I went through the ordeal of being wrongfully convicted, I expected my family to be there. Now, to this day, I'm not upset or mad about what I'm going to speak about nothing. I'm not mad at my family or upset about my family or nothing like that. I'm just expressing myself and talking about the importance of why self-love is so very important. So I went through this experience, and at the beginning, it was family, it was support there. But when I got convicted of these 2 murders, it was like family went away. I didn't understand what it was like for them being here, and I was gone for 23 years, so I didn't understand what it was like for my family on this side of life. I was just so consumed with what I was feeling at that time, and I was a kid. I was 17, so I went through these emotional growth spurts, like when I was 17, 18, and 19, right? And by the time I turned 20, of just like 2021, I was in dark spaces. I was feeling all hurt and abandoned and alone, and every emotional, negative emotional feeling of a person can generate. I felt all of those different things, and I was so low. And I even went through a moment where I despised my family. I despised everybody who I felt like should have been doing time with me or should have been going through that process with me. So I was hurt behind that, and I stressed about it so bad that I was not sleeping. I got sick. I'm talking about all this because I wanted love, but I didn't understand that I needed to love me. So this is all before I learned the art of self-love. But because I didn't know how to love myself and I relied on someone else to do it so hard and so much, it took something from me. Like, it took something from me. It took my health. It took my attention from actually trying to get out of that prison. It took away my focus. It took away my will to live for real, because I expected people to be there. And it wasn't just like family. It was just like friends. Like, when people in life and something happened, like you go to jail or you go through a medical situation or something real messed up happened, people's lives got to continue on. But in that kind of situation, and when people are so caught up on trying to get love and get support from somebody, we don't really see it that way. We kind of blame other people for not being there for us. We kind of take that personal, and I did. I took it personal. So for the first 3-4 years of that experience of mine, probably the first 5 years, I was hurt. I wasn't mad at my family and my loved ones for not being there. I was just hurt and disappointed, and it took me down through there. I'm talking about, they dragged me all the way down through, all the way through there. Like, I got so depressed and so sad because my birthdays was coming around and Christmas was coming around and all these holidays was coming around. I'm so used to spending with my family. I didn't see nobody. I didn't hear from nobody. It was a thing where I wasn't used to. My whole life I was around my family. For every holiday, we was around my grandmother's house. I had a few friends, but I was really main close to my family. So I found myself in a place where I was so broke down. I had ended up getting cancer from stressing out. My cells started to die inside of my body. I wouldn't sleep. I wasn't eating. I was just tore up. And then I learned self-love in a different kind of way. I learned self-love at 2 levels. The first level, I was in prison. So I'm going to speak about the first level of self-love. I realized that all that stressing, all that anger, all that hurt, all that frustration was only causing me sickness. It was only hurting me. The people and the things I was frustrated about wasn't affected. Their life continued on. They didn't look. They didn't stop. They didn't look back. They didn't slow down. Life continued on. It's only when I noticed that and I just accepted for what it is, or for what it was at the time, that I started to really pay attention to me. And for the first time, then I learned how to start loving me. So how did I do that? Self-love started with me by taking care of my body, because I needed to get around and to get to the places I wanted to be. I started to take care of my mind, because I needed that to navigate my way through the system I needed to get out of. And I did it with my spirituality, because I know that there's another part of me than this physical. And I focused on that. Self-love came by way of that. So I started to exercise. I started to really pay attention to how I felt. I didn't want to feel down. And the main ingredient to that healing process of mine was releasing. I forgave everybody who I felt like wronged me. You know, it was 2 witnesses that the state used to convict me. These 2 young girls, they threatened to take their kids away, and the state manipulated them to force them to say I was a person responsible for killing these 2 people. Even at that level of these people, these 2 witnesses who did that to me, I was so angry at these people at one point in time. I was so hurt. I was so like, I couldn't understand these people would do this to me. Like, and I just couldn't understand it, right? I had to even let go of all of that stuff. I had to, in order for me to live, I had to let all those feelings about that stuff die. Like, I really had to let it go. Like, it wasn't nobody around me when I was releasing all this stuff either. But it all came by way of how I felt about myself. I started to care more about myself. So I had to let go of everything that wasn't benefiting my higher self. If it wasn't benefiting me, in a way that was going to prosper me, I didn't want it. So I started to release things. That's when I learned about being attached to things and surrendering and letting go. I had to start letting go of all those things. It's like carrying a backpack full of stuff that you don't want, and it's heavy. And I was carrying it, and I didn't have to. So the more I relinquished all those things, the lighter I became. My sight became better. And mind you, I was in prison. I didn't have no way out. I didn't have no money. I had 2 life sentences. I was 10 years in at this time. I did 23 years out. So how did all that happen? I had to focus. I started to love myself. I started to care more about me. I stopped stressing over what somebody else did or said. I stopped caring about things outside of me. So self-love taught me how to care about me in that situation long enough or hard enough to focus on what the end goal was. The end goal was freedom. And I got it by loving on me, by focusing on me, right? That was that first phase of love of myself. But when I got out, like, so after 22 years, 5 years ago, I got out. I went in 1994. I got out 2017. When I came home from that experience, something else happened. Now I realized that I started to love other people without understanding what love for me is at this stage, because I got into a relationship. I married the only woman I ever loved, really. I married her. And when I came home, I realized when I was in a relationship with my wife that I didn't love me like I thought I did. I love me in a way of getting out of prison. I love me in a way of being in that situation. I love me at the only level I can love myself under those circumstances. But when I came home and I didn't have all those negative things on me from prison and I was here, I realized I had to love me in a different way. And then it's not a selfish way. It's not a way where I'm like, forget other people, but you do have to learn how to love yourself in a way where you don't put other people before yourself. And I did that, not meaning to. None of my people was like my wife. We're not together now, and I still love her. But I put everybody before me. I put my family before me. I put my wife before me. I put my career. I put my, I even put my organization, not Miracle of Innocence. beautiful organization. I love my organization. I put that before me. I put everything before me. And what happened was I lost myself in the middle of that, because when I needed help, when I needed somebody to lean on, I didn't have it, because at that point, everything was emotion, where I was just moving and everybody was relying on me at that time. So somehow I lost myself in all that, and I didn't try to. Like, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to wake up every day and think about what other people need before myself. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't know I was doing it until I found myself depleted. So I found myself 3 years ago, well, a little bit over 3 years ago. Yeah, like 3 years ago, I was just at this place where I had hurt my wife. I went through all these different phases in my life trying to find out who I am, just like the butterfly effect for me. And I just realized I'm not happy again. I didn't know what happened or how it happened, but I just felt myself in a place where it wasn't nothing that nobody was doing, or wasn't because of my wife or my relationship or nothing like that. I just found myself not happy again. And I realized in the middle of all that, it was because I stopped loving me again. So this is why, the quick thought again, the reason why self-love is so important. Because now, whenever I find myself in this place where I feel, maybe distracted or maybe frustrated or whatever, I always got me to rely on now, because I learned how to love me on every level. I learned how to accept every part of me. Like, I don't make excuses for who I am. I don't make excuses for why I do what I do. I don't make excuses for why I say what I say. I love and I embrace every part of me. When I say love me, and I'm going to give you an expression or example of what I mean when I say I love me. Music is a high vibrational activity. It boosts the immune system, creates positive energy, releases negative tension in the body, right? So loving on me is when I hear a song. Before, I used to hear love songs, and I used to think about my wife, because she was the only love that I had, like the only love, my first and only love. It's this woman. So every time I hear a song, like, cause if this love was all I had in this life. See, I would sing that song, hear that song, and think to her. I was thinking about her all the time. Now when you hear these songs, you give good love to me, babe. Sing them to yourself. That's how I love myself. I love on me. I touch on me. I rub on me. I tell myself how good I am. I tell myself how beautiful I am. I tell myself how smart I am. Because think about it. We did that for somebody else. When you really want somebody, and you see the hots for somebody, you go all the way in with trying to express these expressions of love for these people, right? Why don't we ever do that for ourselves? Why don't you go that hard for you? I learned that there's a power in that. There's a superpower in loving yourself. There's a superpower in saying, I'm not saying I don't love no one outside of me. What I'm saying is I love myself, even if you don't. What I'm saying is, even if no one thinks I'm beautiful, if no one thinks I'm smart, if no one thinks I'm like what I'm doing now, if no one support this, if no one understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, I'm fine, because I know why. I'm fine because I love myself. You don't have to compliment me. I'm gonna compliment me. And that don't mean, it literally means that we all should pay more attention to who we are. We all should pay more attention to what we need. We all should pay more attention to how can we raise our own vibration? How can we love ourselves? What can I do for myself today? How can I treat myself? You want to take your man or your woman out on a date? How about dating yourself? It's a foreign concept, it seems, but it works. It's a high vibrational act. The art of loving yourself is a thing, like taking a bath. When you shower, rub yourself, give yourself a bath with intention, with a purpose. Like, when we doing things without no purpose, without intention, that's just meaningless things that you do. It's a behavior. But whatever we do with awareness, like when I'm speaking about loving myself, I'm doing it with awareness. I'm aware that I'm a person. I'm aware that I have skin. I'm aware that I have hair. I'm aware that I have teeth. I'm aware that I have a mind. I'm aware that I have a spirit. I'm aware of these things, and I compliment these things. Because truthfully, when people don't walk around just telling me how fine I am, So I got to do it. People don't walk around and be like, you know what, man, you a really beautiful brother. So instead, I tell myself, you know what, you're a beautiful man, man. I be rubbing on myself like, bro, you are really fine, bro. You are attractive, right? Now, how many people do that? Now you can laugh. The people think that's weird, strange, all you like, but we do it for other people. You to compliment your man or your woman to you can't do it no more. You see your woman come out with them pants, you looking good in them jeans. You tell that dude, baby, you handsome, you looking good today, right? Make him feel good. Every time we hear a compliment, how does it make us feel? We get the dopamine hit, and bam, we feeling it. We like it, right? That means we get something from it. Why not get that to yourself? Self-love is so important. When breakup happens and people don't seem to love you or can't love you, I'm going to tell you about self-love. Self-love is a generated energy that won't ever leave. No matter who will. Don't mean we don't love. I love to the core. I love with no limits. I love with no expectations. I love with no hidden agendas or anything. But I still, regardless, I love me first. No matter if I'm in a relationship, which I don't do the relationships thing no more. But if I was getting a relationship, which I wouldn't, I would still put me first. I wouldn't put you last. I wouldn't disrespect you. I wouldn't do anything like that. I wouldn't put you second. I wouldn't. But believe me, loving me is the first thing I'm going to do. And the Bible speaks about this too, if you want to go deeper with spirituality with it. Because if we are the body of Christ, temple of God, and we was created in the image of God, and God is inside of us, and we should worship God, that means we should worship ourselves. We should love ourselves because that's where God is. If the kingdom of God is within you, according to Luke 17:21, if that's where the kingdom of heaven is, the kingdom of God, what does kingdom mean? The power of God. If the power of God is in me, shouldn't I be worshiping myself? Shouldn't I be raising my vibration? Shouldn't I be talking affirmations to myself? Shouldn't I be speaking highly of myself because that's where God is? That's the power of loving self. Not selfish love. Not being selfish to things outside of you or people around you. Not being selfish. No, loving yourself. Pouring into yourself like you pouring into somebody else. What's the purpose of going to give to somebody else? Any kind of support, financial support, some emotional support, right? Physical support. What's the point of giving anybody or trying to give anybody that kind of support when you don't have a leg to stand on for yourself? It makes no sense. I don't even want nobody to love me at that capacity. I don't want that. What I really and truly do want, I want everybody around me to love themselves the way I love me. I want everybody around me to know that's inside of you, there's a spirit, there's an energy, there's a Holy Spirit, there's a guardian angel, there's a subconscious that need attention and love too. So when you speak, be mindful. Be mindful that love is a self-generated, it's not a feeling, it's a being, it's an experience. Love is really a consciousness. And it has to be generated from self. Self-esteem, self-confidence, right? All of it comes from yourself. And I learned that. I learned that from being, and I felt that. I felt all kinds of emotional traumas when it comes to life. I mean, I've been there through it. You know, it's things right now my mother still don't know about my experiences in prison. It's things my ex-wife, wouldn't know about. She don't know about. And not because I wanted to hide or not tell them or share it with them, is because I didn't, at the time, I'm fine to speak about that stuff now, but at the time, no, I didn't know how to do that. So I just learned how to internalize everything and just take everything as it is, right? Still not a form of loving yourself. That was just how I internalized it, and it came out and it spewed, and I took it in, it spewed out on my wife, actually. And I didn't know how to process emotion stuff out of me. I didn't have emotional intelligence at the time, so I didn't know how to process it. So now I understand loving myself. When I say loving myself, I'm talking about loving myself. Like, you know, people will see themselves like, I'm fat. Or, I don't like my teeth. Or, my ears are big. Or, my toes are crunchy or whatever, right? That's not loving yourself. I'm sorry, but it's not. If there's anything about you that you see that you don't like, you missing the point. If you feel like you're not smart enough, if you feel like you're not bright enough, if you feel like you're not driven enough, whatever it may be, if you're not feeling that way, that's you. Self is you. Loving you is really about accepting you. We have to accept all of it. I learned how to accept all of it. Like I lost 23 years of my life. I went in a prison as a 17-year-old kid, and I came home as a 41-year-old man. I can tell you the emotional. I can't even explain most of that stuff I was feeling when I came out. I don't know what I was. It was just a lot of crap emotionally. I just know how to place it. I didn't know what to do with it, right? But had I learned how to love myself at that stage, I would have not hurt my wife the way I did. I would have learned how to love her too at that time. I would have learned these things. I would have learned emotional intelligence before I got here. Before I came back, I would have learned how to vibrate high enough for myself, to love, to pour into me, right? To self-affirmation, myself into health and wellness, right? I would have learned how to pour into me. I would have learned how to build my foundation to be strong before I can take on the responsibility of somebody else's relationship. Somebody else's emotions. You know, I still love my wife. It just, we was together at a time where I was unsure about myself, and I didn't know that I needed to love myself at another level, another phase in my life. I didn't know that. So this is why self-love and loving yourself is so important. Because sometimes nobody gonna be there to tell you that, to cheer you on, to tell you that you're doing a good job, to tell you that everything's gonna be okay. Sometimes nobody's gonna be around for that. You know, I went through decades. I went through at least 20 years without nobody telling me nothing like that, without me hearing nothing like that. And it hurt me because I felt like I wanted somebody else to love me. It hurt me because I felt like I wanted to feel somebody else's love versus me just loving myself. And people think you can't do that. You can. You can love yourself when no one else is. You see, people have left me. People abandoned me, hurt me, robbed me, cheated me. People done did the worst to me, right? And had I not loved myself, had I not learned how to love myself, I would allow them people to continue to do that to me. So self-love is a powerful thing. So I just wanted to share that because that's my quick thought for today. You know, self-love is important love. So be mindful and be peaceful.